Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Marriage is Tougher Than Woodpecker Lips podcast. This is Bryan, joined by my co-host, Paul. We'd like to welcome you to a community meant for the men of the world to share their thoughts and perspectives on marriage. We can learn from each other's experiences and help each other be better husbands. This week on the pod, we want to talk to you about how important is it to have good friends to complement your marriage.
Before we hop all the way into it, just wanted to say thank you for checking us out. If this is your first time, welcome. If you've been rocking with us for a while, welcome back. If you'd like to go deeper on this conversation, you can search Marriage is Tougher on any social media platform and hit us up in our DMs, or you can go to marriagestougher.com, hit that contact form, scroll down, and leave your message for us. If you'd like to be a guest, do the same. Hit the contact form, let us know your name and your information and what topic you'd like to talk about, and we'll get you on the pod. We really appreciate you all hanging out with us and listening to us. Now let's get into the show.
Yes, sir. Right, man. So, good friends. What's on your mind?
Friends. How many does have them? Friends. Ones we can depend on. That's enough. I don't want to get flagged. What's on my mind is being a good friend and having a good friend, right? Because we all need friends. We all need people that know us enough that they can speak into our life, give us direction, say things unfiltered and how we need to hear them, without feeling like the relationship will end or will cause a rift or anything like that. Or even if they know it might cause a rift temporarily, we have such rapport and history, we'll get over it. And it's probably not about what I said, it's probably about how I said it, right? Right. So just, it's so important to have people that know you, that know your situation, that care about you, your wife, your kids, your dog, anything that's in the house that is related to you.
Right.
Just so that when the Lord needs to speak through someone, they can be available to be that person. Because there's nothing like hearing from a good friend, and knowing that it's the truth and that they have no agenda but to see you be better than where you are. So I think that's kind of where I am right now. Is it's important to have friends to help you along your journey, which in essence helps you along within your marriage, your career, your family, all that.
Yeah, that's lovely, man. It's funny that you say that because I feel like I've been opening myself up more lately. So grand scale, I've been sharing a lot of pieces of my life with blanketly everyone, right? Like kind of just wear my heart on my sleeve. Here's what's going on. Here's what I'm doing. Um, a lot of times, here's where I'm struggling right now. And it's the dynamic of that is truly funny. Some people will react in a way that's like, oh yeah, man, been there before, and like in a conversation, right? Some people will really lean in and they will attempt to be helpful, right? There's another dynamic where I see people will react in a manner that is like standoffish. And I think oftentimes it's because they can see themselves in that situation, or they're currently in that situation and they might not know how to handle it. So I don't know if it's like, oh, I don't have any advice to give, like this is a trigger warrant, like a trigger for me, like I need to back out, or if it's like maybe they're feeling a little ashamed about their current situation, so they're like, yeah, I really don't want to talk about that, right? To your point of that friend aspect, there are, I would say, most regularly two people in my life, including you, that I can share everything with, right? I mean, like outside of my wife, obviously, but um, the more I, the more I lean into that aspect of that friendship or those friendships, the healthier I feel, right? It's like I am able to, well, it's kind of like therapy. That's how I would equate it, right? Like if I have a therapist that I know legally has to hold all this information and not share it with anyone, right? Um, Having a friend that you feel that sort of comfort with is just outstanding. I'm fortunate enough outside of my wife to have two people I feel that comfortable with. Honestly, even third, because the other friend, his wife, I feel that comfort with. So four, because I would feel that comfort with your wife as well. Um, is just like again, it's outstanding to have that level of comfort because I know I can come to you, I can come to them and say, "Yo, like here's what's going on." Um, and sometimes it's not like, "Hey, I need advice." It's just like I need to get this off my chest because I've been holding this in and it's destroying me, right? Um, and having that sort of, well, allowing that sort of insight into my life and being accepting of feedback just opens doors, man. Like it opens doors to make it easier for me to talk about those things, especially when I get into therapy, right? Like I'm already practiced talking about these things. So by the time I get to therapy, like I can get right into solutions. You know what I mean? Like,
Man, that part is so real. I was just thinking about that because, right, I usually talk to you on Saturday, and then my therapy session's usually Monday
mm,
when I have it. So it's usually like, it's so funny you say that because it'd be like, what'd Bryan have to say about that? Right. And it's just like this thing of knowing that I've generally already had that conversation. And it's a prep in a sense of gathering the thoughts around it is
yep,
very helpful because it helps me even think about what I'm going to say. And even that being different when having a conversation with my wife, like knowing I'm going to talk to her about something. Um, and sometimes it's not even like a conscious thing. Like it might be something that comes up before I can have a conversation with her. And like I have this time with you on Saturday. And so by either later Saturday or Sunday, when I have that conversation, I've already had a better, uh, a better thought process or a better like conversation plan, even to even know how I feel about it. So I don't have to process how I feel about it in the moment of the conversation with her, which allows me to be more in tune with how she feels and what she thinks and not have to battle my own stuff. So that's I never thought about that, but that's a wonderful thing to have, um, for sure. And it's just important. It's important. I'm just thinking about this clip I saw of Kobe. He was talking to somebody. I think it was like somebody's son, a player's son. It was like talking about practice, but not practice like individual work. He was like, in the gym, practice like this is where you make the mistakes. Like this is where you go all out and make the mistakes. So like when you're in the game, he's like nobody sees these mistakes here, and so that way when you're out there, it looks like you don't make mistakes. You've already made them all here. And having a good friend is just a space to be free to talk about mistakes, make your mistakes, you know, even bring something up and be like, you probably shouldn't say that or do that or whatever, like out in the real world. Like that's not it. But being safe in that is what's so needed. And I love what you said about like just needing to get it off your chest because our body does hold the things that we go through,
Mhm.
and being able to freely release it with someone that you trust is so great. Um, and I never knew that I needed it until I had it.
Yeah.
And that's the part.
Yeah. I mean, as men, we feel like we are supposed to carry all of this on our own, right? And then on top of that, we're gonna try to carry our wives' troubles and our child's troubles and even our friends' troubles, right? Um, but then what do you do with all of that weight? What does your body do with all of that weight? What does your mind do with all of that weight? That transfer of energy is wild. Is absolutely wild. Um, and again, to your point, like just to be able to share that with someone, not necessarily try to transfer that to them, but just to release some of the weight and know that, hey, I'm just asking for you to pray for me, right? Now, naturally, if you were to share something with me that was negative, I'm going to feel that weight because not just empathy, but like I care for you, right? And I want to see the best for you. And I think it's even beneficial for me to feel that in some capacity because then it
Agreed.
instructs how I pray,
Mm-hmm.
right? It instructs how I communicate with you. It instructs um, how I can, from a distance, hold your hand through trials and tribulations, right? And vice versa. Um, and that I think that dynamic of the relationship is important, right? And it may be different with different people or different friends or different types of relationships. Um, but I think as you and I, approach different things in life, part of our conversations have become like, hey, I feel like I should respond in this manner. So I'm going to because I was hesitant, but I feel comfortable or feel this need to say things, right? And then having the conversation on the back end, like, yeah, I encourage you to give me that feedback, or I encourage when you are having these thoughts to share them with me, right? And
Mm-hmm.
vice versa. Having that permission, right? Having that allowance of accountability, right? We often say to each other, "Hey, I'm planning on doing this. Can you please check in with me and make sure that I actually did it?" Right? Um, Not that I necessarily or you necessarily need that extra push, but knowing that, hey, Brian might call or Paul might call and say, "Did you do this?" Sometimes is that little bit of reminder if I might let something slip to say, "Oh, I better get this done." Right? So those things are powerful.
Absolutely. It's every piece plays a part, and
Mhm.
we may see it. Oh, that's a little thing, but that's in the stack of the things that are the list of important, right? Like I want to show up as an example for my family, my wife, and my friends, right? I want to be able to be a person of good character, a person of my word. When I say something, I'm going to do it. So all that leans in to who I know we want to be, right? I can't speak for people who don't want to be that, but I can speak for who we want to be. Um, so it's just the brick, each brick makes a part of that foundation strong. So I think having a good friend is a part of, that foundation. It's just, I can't say anything else but so good to have a friend, right? To
Yeah.
have a couple. And I think going back to what you were saying when you're describing just being a little bit more open in all of your relationships and all those situations, I think for me, sometimes I've figured out how to engage in those conversations, even if I'm not necessarily close to that person or still struggling with said thing that comes up. But I'll give a little bit feedback on. For me, if I was to be standoffish or not speak on it, it would be because I'm in the middle of it,
Mm,
and if I don't know how my wife would feel about sharing where we are, if it's a we issue and
mhm,
not just a me, I wouldn't speak on it until after we've overcome it. But anyone that's hearing this and is like, man, I really want to engage, but I don't know how, you can always just ask good questions about what the person who's presenting the information is saying.
mhm.
Like either a tell me more, or how did it feel, or um, do you have an idea if it's a struggle, like do you have an idea or a plan on how to like go to the next step, or what's the next step, or any of those kind of questions can allow you to stay engaged without, feeling you have to retreat, because you can learn so much by someone who's willing to open up and share where they are, even if it's just learning a new perspective, especially if you're going through the same thing. That can definitely help.
Yeah. It it takes me back to being told about yourself, right? Um, and where does that start? Typically in the home with your parents. For me, it was my mother, and I find myself thinking about how resistant I was to that at times in my life. Um, so now I'm thinking, man, the sooner you can open up your mind to be told about yourself and accepting of being told about yourself, how much growth happens in that shift, right?
Yeah.
And even just at work, right? When you, this is going to sound funny, but when you begin to stop placing blame in other areas and you look internally and say, wow, what was my role in this? Right. And then can allow others permission to say, hey, here's what I saw. Right. Like they're not trying to hurt you, they're trying to help you. More
Right.
times than not, right?
Mm-hmm.
There could be people out there with some sort of nefarious agenda. Yeah, fair, right? I'm not going to completely discount that. However, in the scenario that we're talking about friends, family members who, may not have all of the answers, but if you can discern that their intent is coming from love and caring, um, and sometimes even just their own experience, while it might not be the same, there are typically certain things that align with what you're going through. And sometimes they can see the writing on the wall before you can because they have a different perspective. To your point, sometimes when you're in the middle of it, all of your walls go up, right? I I'm remembering the Bull in the Ring. Apparently is largely outlawed across the country now for kids. But I'm talking about football, right? You're in the middle and they call out somebody and then you got to turn and react and they come and hit you, right? Sometimes when you're in the middle of it, you feel like you're the bull in the ring and you can just get attacked from all different angles. And it's hard to see beyond your situation, right? Because you're so on guard for every little thing that might come your way.
Absolutely. Yep.
Now, if someone comes from the outside of that, they're outside the ring and they're like, oh, they're about to call number 4, right? He's about to get smacked from them, right? And then they come and they're trying to tell you from over the wall, like,
Right.
yo, it's number 4.
Right.
Right? And now you're struggling to hear them or even see it, right? And it gets to a man, I told you so situation, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah, that's wild.
yeah. So being aware that you're in it, number one, is huge. And
That part. Hmm.
yeah, and then opening yourself up for someone else's perspective who might actually just see where the next attack is coming from because they've been through it themselves is if you can get to that space, your growth can just hockey stick up into the right.
that's 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 so good. It's just, So I guess my question is, it's good to have friends. It's good to be a friend.
Mm,
How do you cultivate that friendship for someone who's like, man, I would really love to have that, but
mm.
I don't even know where to start.
Yeah. Um, so, hmm, how do I answer this? So, in our situation, right, we've been very good friends, best friends for a long time.
Right.
So, I don't think it's necessarily fair to equate our friendship on that level, or with what the question is that you asked. I can, however, associate a second friendship that I have where I came from an area of brokenness and at one point just decided to start sharing. I think because I needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess the only advice I could really give is start to share. And it doesn't have to be the worst of the worst, right? It could be little things that maybe you're struggling with. It could even be your successes. I think what happens is that exposes how someone's going to react to it, right? Specifically in successes. If someone can cheer you on in your success and not feel like they are now lesser than, right? And not attack your success with, oh, well, this, that, and the third. Why would you do this? Or, if they are receiving of your success and they're like, oh man, what's next? Right? Like, how can I cheer you on and how can I support? Those are the people that you want in your corner. Those are the people you need to dive deeper with. And then start sharing some of your struggles. See how those people react. Are they standoffish? Is it immediately, oh, wow, I've been through that before. How can I help? Right? Is it, can they just listen at times and be an ear? Do they offer to pray for you? Do they ask, how would you like me to pray for you? Those are your telltale signs that that person is 10 toes down.
That was excellent. Actually, that was, yeah, I don't know if there's anything I could add to that. I think the success one is really good. Um, and starting small. But it's really just being okay with putting yourself out there, starting small, and it not going where you think it might sometimes. Right. Because I think if you start small, I think everyone can, can swallow that, can stomach the small things that we start with.
Yep.
And so your amount of people, you may have two or three people that you might share something with, and it's small and it's fine. But then if you go deeper, or you may have a success, then might see someone can't handle that level of sharing. And it's like, oh man, that kind of sucks. But then you still have a couple more people. And then, okay, they both can share success. Okay, now you have a struggle, a real struggle. All right, who can handle that? Right. So I think that's great. Great advice. But it all starts with us being open and being like, okay, I want to find a new friend. I think time is the only thing I would say. It's really to make time, right? What are you into? Is there anything that you can do that's either collaborative, or is it straight, okay, man, like I see this person, I like what they're about, like invite them to coffee just to get to know more about them. Um, I know for me, it's easier in like a church setting, like, oh man, like, because you might see someone consistently on a Sunday, like, oh man, what do you do outside of here? Like, you want to go grab coffee, grab lunch? That's kind of easier. So if you have like a faith-based community, that's it. Or if you're a part of like a club or something, that meets regularly or semi regularly, link up with someone there. If not, even if it's someone at your job, like, just go to lunch or take a break with them, go for a walk, just to get away from your desk and start to just learn about people. And even that way, you can learn what you like about people, what you don't like about people, and that can help you decide who to open up with as well. Um, but other than that, it's really just putting yourself out there and deciding, I want to have more authentic and real relationships, more things that are not service. And once you do that, it's just about your ability to kind of keep executing, even when it may not go the way you want. Because some of the friends that you might have will come from out of nowhere, or be people like, man, I did not even think they would be as cool or as down as they were, but they
Yeah.
are. So that's really it.
And selfishly, I like to show up that way. I really do, right? I don't know. I kind of get a kick out of it, but let's take 2 more minutes and just talk about how this is beneficial to our marriages. From my perspective, it allows me to show up in a more healthy space in my marriage, right? Much like we talked about previously, where sometimes I could hash these things out and I'm more prepared to talk about it in therapy. It's the same within my marriage, right? Like I get to hash a couple things out, share my struggles, share my wins, and then it's almost like, hey, I've had this conversation before. It makes it a lot easier for me to start these conversations with my wife. Um, less of the successes because I'm going to share those with her anyway. That's just natural. But if I'm struggling with something, sometimes it's hard for me to start my struggle conversation with my wife, right? And that could come from like a host of different areas, but it might be that I don't know. I'm struggling internally with feeling judgment or something, right? And it could be that I feel like she might judge me, whether or not there's a history of that. I'm trying to avoid it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm able to get this off my chest in a different way, um, or in a different outlet, and then bring it to her, sometimes just having that rehearsal is beneficial. I'll ask you, how does this aid or show up in your marriage? Having friends that you can truly open up with.
I think even just using your example of, if you feel like people are judging you, or even if it's your wife, right? It's good to have a friend to challenge that data point, right?
Mm,
Like, okay, so you feel like that's happening, valid. Like I feel that you're feeling that, but like, okay, so what has she done to make you feel judged? And now was that judgment, or that was just a consequence of your actions? Like she was just telling the truth about the situation, right? So sometimes that helps be like a where you may have angst against your wife or anyone else, having someone be level headed and be an outside opinion, like, is that really what it is? Or is that just how you're feeling about it? Right.
mm,
Um, which allows, so for me, I think it allows me to even come to my wife and be like, this is what I'm feeling, but I feel like this is the lie of the enemy is this.
mm,
It's not the real thing, but this is what I'm feeling, right? And it's kind of like, oh, I've had this conversation with Bryan, and like he blew it out the water, but like I just want you to know where I was and what I'm working through now. And um, I think how it helps is it all comes back to practice. And I know we talk about this a bunch if you've been with us a while, but a lot of times us as guys haven't had a lot of practice in verbalizing how we feel
mm,
or verbalizing our thoughts or even having value with that. So even just, our wives have encouraged us to do so, but even having that practice just with someone else um, helps it just be better overall. So it helps us in our marriage, but it also helps us on our job. It also helps us with our kids or whatever else we're into. So I think that's why, you know, not repeating what you said, because what you said was very valid, and adding to it it helps us practice how to communicate, and also how we feel when receiving feedback, and being okay with like, okay, this is how I felt. I didn't really like it. I was kind of taken aback. I might have been offended. Um, but what do I do with those, and how do I talk about those? How do I express them, in the safety of a friendship? Definitely help me show up in my marriage and be able to process something that, because your friends, they still, um, it still means a lot what they're saying, and you still might like what they're saying, right? Same thing with your wife. Like, I don't want to hear it. So with your friends, having that practice of, oh man, like he's right, like she's right, like this is, it helps you be able to hear that even with your wife and process through, because you're still staying in the conversation, like you're not running away. So how do I stay in this, process it, articulate it, and not retreat? And I think having a friend helps you do that and helps you show up well in your marriage.
Yeah. Man, you said that so much more eloquently than I did. So I love you for that. One final point. It did remind me that that practice, and I think you maybe have even said this, but that practice allows me to be more open to the feedback that I'll receive from my wife, right? Because I know you'll be real with me, and you might even be able to take in her perspective on it, right? Better than I can in the moment, especially if I'm in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got my walls up. I'm in the, ring of the bull or bull in the ring. Um, First getting that little bit of practice with you and you saying, well, did you consider this?
Yeah.
Right. And so by the time that she says that to me, I'm prepared to receive it how I need to. And that's huge because it's like the hacker shortcut to solution
Yeah.
or resolution. You know what I mean? So I love that.
Absolutely. Well, we thank you guys for hearing this conversation, walking with us, walking it through us with us. If you have any comments, if there's anything you'd like to say, that what are the benefits of having a friendship and how does it benefit your marriage? Please hit us up. Search a marriage is tougher, any social media platform, or just hit the contact form and leave what you think there. We really appreciate it. If you'd like to be a guest and talk through something with us, hit that contact form as well. We really love having guests and would like to have you on. So we appreciate it. And until next time, we'll chat later.
Peace.